Hey everyone, my name is Matt. Welcome to my shop. Today is April 4th and this is my weekly shop update. So yesterday, no, I guess it was technically earlier today. I guess I got back from the Atlanta show about midnight-ish this morning. Technically, I guess it'd be this morning. It was an absolute blast. Thank you to everyone who came out to see us at the woodworking shows in Atlanta this past weekend. It was amazing to see how many people came out not just to see us, but to be at the show, to introduce yourselves, and to hang out at our booth with us. It was just an incredible time. So thank you so much to everyone who attended. It's just amazing. I had a fantastic trip. I met so many people, and I'm just feeling really great. So thank you so much. I also had the opportunity to stop in at Highland Woodworking while I was in Atlanta. That was awesome as well. I put together a little video about my weekend. I was at the booth pretty much the whole time, so most of my weekend was just talking to people, so there's not a whole lot to see, but I did take some clips of the show and my trip to Highland, so let's have a look. On Friday before heading to the show, I stopped in at Highland Woodworking, and this store was incredible. They had just about every woodworking thing you could possibly want. Books, hand tools, they had bandsaw blades everywhere. That was my favorite part, was there were just bandsaw blades hanging everywhere. There was a lot more in this store than you'd be able to find in like a Rockler or a Woodcraft. There's an upper level as well as a lower level, and there's just products everywhere. Now my favorite thing in the entire store was this unfinished Maloof chair. One side of the chair is joined together so you can see all the joinery and how everything is roughly cut before shaping. And then on the left side of the chair, you can see that the shaping and the blending of the parts have been started there by Sam. And it's a really cool contrast to be able to see a work in progress like this. And even though it's not finished, it is still extremely comfortable to sit in. In the stairwell, they had pictures of some of the people who have come to the store to teach classes over the years. And before I left, I put up my pin on their board of places that people have come from. And also that day I stopped by my friend Bob's place and he showed me his shop, and he has one of the most unique workbenches I've ever seen. It's made mostly from sweet gum and a little bit of red oak, and this thing is just gorgeous. It has so much really cool grain and color going on. It was just a lot of fun just to look at it. It also features a leg vise by Dima. Now at the show we had a 4-booth setup, which gave us a lot of space, but it was still a little tight. And we also had a big photo wall with a really cool backdrop against it. This show was a lot bigger than the one here in St. Paul that I went to a couple months ago, and there was just so much stuff to look at. Now here's a shot of the booth on Saturday morning before it really got busy, and Saturday was just absolutely crazy. There were so many people there. It was a really great turnout. In the parking lot, Wood-Mizer was doing a few demos, and here is actually Bob picking up his new sawmill and getting his training on it. And of course, since Steve Carmichael lives in the area, there were a few outings to his place, and his shop is quite a bit bigger looking in his videos than it is in person. And of course, Steve has a drum set in his shop, so there was a little bit of drumming going on there as well. There was a lot of stuff going on over those few days, and if you want to see even more of what happened, check out the social media accounts of anyone who was there. There were tons and tons of posts of people together having fun, what they're seeing. It was absolutely great. So that was just an absolute blast. I had a fantastic few days there in Atlanta. Everyone was awesome. Just a great experience, and I'm so glad I had the opportunity to go. So speaking of that, I didn't get anything done here in the shop last week. I was only here for 2 days, and I spent those 2 days on the computer working on that stuff. So no progress on any projects here in my shop or in my life. So let's get into some viewer projects to help you with your woodworking fix. So this first project comes from James. This is what he calls accidental art. This is the knot hole 1, as he calls it. This is a really great example of what can be done with what is a seemingly useless piece of wood that's just simply an offcut. James had this extra piece of maple and it had this big knot hole in it, and he just couldn't get away from seeing the beauty that could be within that. So he ended up taking that knot and turning it into a piece of art. Awesome work on this, James. I love the thinking on this. Next up is a kitchen island from Ben, and this was a project for a friend's kitchen. He says the frame is dimensional lumber glued and pegged together with half-blind pockets for the frame rails to seat into. The top is maple plywood wrapped in aspen, and everything is finished with Danish oil, and the top has 2 coats of lacquer. So great work on this, Ben. I really like the overall simple nature of the project, and I think the pegs really add a nice visual interest element to the project. Next up is a wooden pencil holder by Philip. Philip is an 18-year-old woodworker from Germany. The box is made from plywood and is joined with box joints, and what I think is really interesting and unique about this is that he sanded through the veneer layer, the top veneer layer of the plywood, along all the edges and along all the joints, so that it has a really interesting visual element that I really haven't seen before. And lastly, a dovetailed keepsake box by Brian. Brian did an amazing job on the box and the video, and this is his first project with hand-cut dovetails. I've been following Brian's dovetailing journey on his Instagram page, so it's been really cool to see him step away from the practice pieces and get into an actual project. This one is made out of walnut and maple, and I think it has a really nice, cool, and simple design. If you're not already subscribed to Brian's YouTube channel, you should check it out. It's really sweet. And he is, of course, a member of the Dusty Life podcast, along with Sean Rubino and Kyle Toth. If you're into podcasts and you haven't checked that one out already, I'll have a link to that in the description as well. So one thing I forgot to mention last week is Matthew Morris and I put out a new episode of the Matt and Matthew Show. On this episode, we had Chris Vesper on the show, and we interviewed him for a bit. Chris makes some amazing tools, and it was awesome to hear his background, his story, and his process of how he makes his tools. We released that almost 2 weeks ago, and hopefully this Thursday, if I get it done, we'll have the shop tour video of his shop and a little bit more into the manufacturing process of his tools. He makes some amazing stuff, so make sure you check that out. So lastly, I'd like to just say a big thank you to everyone who left some really awesome and encouraging comments on last week's shop update. If you missed the update last week, I announced that I'm going to be a speaker at the upcoming Woodworking in America conference this fall, and I also mentioned that public speaking is my greatest fear. So everyone left, well, not everyone, but a lot of people left some really amazing and encouraging comments regarding that. So thank you to everyone for that. And if you haven't checked out, or if you hadn't heard about my speaking engagement there, there'll be a link in the description. You can check out the sessions that I'll be teaching this year. I have 3 of them. So that's about all I have, I think. Yep, that's about it for this week. Thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments about anything I talked about today or anything here in my shop, please feel free to leave me a comment. As always, I appreciate those. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, happy woodworking.